So the infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Aging infrastructure.
I'm inside one of the oldest rail tunnels in the whole of America. A route that supports an enormous chunk of this country's economy.
The biggest bottlenecks in the entire Northeast corridor.
And it's crumbling.
The tunnel is really aging. It was built 151 plus years ago.
And it is long overdue a replacement.
And it's not just tunnels, it's bridges too.
I'll never forget the faces of the people that were stuck in New York Penn Station. They all wanted to get home, and they couldn't because of this bridge.
It is probably the worst service that I've ever seen.
The decline of this country's infrastructure is no secret, but the state of the nation's most important railway should worry every American. It's been neglected for far too long. Some parts of it are over a century old and should have been retired years ago. If just one part of the line failed, it would cost the US more than $100 million a day.
Slow down.
But help is finally at hand. At last, billions are being spent to upgrade this critical rail line that much of the nation depends on. With some incredible access, I've packed a bag and I'm taking a rail trip up the US to see just how serious the situation is and what's now being done to put things right before time runs out.
How's it going, everyone? Let's talk today for a minute about America's infrastructure. Right? I was watching this video that kind of inspired this, and I'll leave some clips here and there if I can remember, give you an idea what we're talking about. Let's take a look at this. America's infrastructure and how there's more ways that they are scamming us, we the people. You know, America's infrastructure is falling apart and has been for a long time. You may notice it in your areas. You know, you'll see areas where they're putting in new roundabouts, which is, part of the new road order anyways, and stuff like that. Meanwhile, other roadways are going to waste. Railroads are all crooked, falling apart, and in badly need of repair. Pretty much all the transportation industry, right? And they're putting that on us, and they keep raising taxes. And this, I don't care what side of politics you choose, they're all in it together, all of them, and they've all gotten rich off of this stuff, off of we the people. Okay, our highways, our bridges, major ports, just all the stuff that has to do with transportation and commerce, right? Shipping and stuff like that. So I'll try to explain this the best I can without having stuff in front of me. Try to make this short and just give a little explanation here. This is just more of many ways that we the people are being fooled or being used, right? We're the ones paying for all this. It doesn't matter what president you choose or whatever. They allocate billions and trillions of dollars, millions, billions, trillions, however much, right? In the name of fixing America's infrastructure. It's in badly need of repair, and they show us all the horror stories, which I agree, this stuff should not be let go. This stuff needs fixed. As an example, let's just consider here in Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio, the train derailment issue that happened over here. And that's only one of many times that Ohio has train derailments. Ohio has, even right here in Defiance, we have trucks hitting the bridges, right? Hitting the overpasses because trucks that are too tall can't read signs and they smash in it, right? But these things get hit over and over again, and they're still in use, right? Not getting repaired or replaced. And I'll show you a few examples on our walk. Just here in Defiance what we got, but consider East Palestine, the train derailment there. And then they want to come to us and give us this fear, put fear in us about all of this, which, it's not all unwarranted. But the problem is they do this and use it for more excuses to raise taxes on us, raise more taxes, allocate our tax money to repair all of this stuff, right? The shape of our world now, there's no days without wind anymore. And the people we complain about often on this channel are the people responsible. Now let's consider this. America's infrastructure, is it our job? This stuff messes me up. I can't get as many videos out as I need to doing it this way because the wind just ruins everything. Anyways, is it our responsibility, our problem, to pay for the repairs and upkeep of America's infrastructure, our highways, our railways, shipping yards, stuff like that? Well, the answer is no. It absolutely is not. The fact is, we want to talk about fraud. One of the greatest frauds perpetrated upon we the people is taxation, right? We're being taxed to death for the money we work hard for out of the sweat of our brows, right? We slave away for it. We indeed are slaves. And we can show several examples all along how we are slaves, right? All day long. And this is just one fine example right here. Our taxation, our taxes being allocated to, and our debt going higher because of America's infrastructure. But whose job is it? And here's where I'm getting at. I understand I gotta be careful. Sometimes people take me the wrong way, misunderstand things I'm saying, I suppose. Sometimes I get heated in it. It don't matter what, right? It's the passion you got for it comes out. But, I can say something good about Trump and everyone on the left hates me. All the far left, right? I say something bad about Trump and the far right hates me. And because they're offended and they don't want to believe or open their eyes that they are being fooled. And it's not that you're just now being fooled. We've been fooled. Anyone my age, you've been being fooled since the day you were born. Anyone alive now, actually, right? We don't understand what happened to the gold, where the monetary system came from, how the bankers took over and replaced the Constitution, the USC law, with UCC law, Uniform Commercial Code, right? Let's think about that for a minute, because Trump's coming out with all this stuff, and I'm not saying that it's all bad what he's saying, except, full immunity for police. You want to empower the thugs that enforce Uniform Commercial Code. And that is most of the laws. How many of us are actually arrested for breaking the law? And when I say the law, I mean the Constitution. That's the law of our land, right? But that's not what we're getting harassed by the police for. That's not what, it's You just go ahead in the comments and give me an example of where somebody was actually arrested and jailed for breaking the Constitution. Many times, most of the time not, unless they've truly harmed somebody, you know. But he wants to come to us and tell us, and it's not just him, there's others that do this too on both sides, right? They pretend it's all about the Constitution, constitutional law, constitutional order, you know. And I'm here to tell you that there is not anyone in Washington, D.C. that truly understands the Constitution, that truly knows the Constitution. This is what they swear an oath to, but you don't understand they are operating under the laws of UCC. Here's part of our infrastructure here in Defiance. And as you can see right here, this side is the least, but you see it's all banged up. The sign is hanging out. This is because the railway right here is deteriorating. Is a famous bridge here in Defiance. At least once a week, a truck goes by here, too tall, doesn't slow down, doesn't even think about it, can't read the signs, and slams right into that bridge. They come out, yank the truck out, take a look at it and say, oh, everything's good there, right? And that's the end of that, until one day it's going to become such a problem. And to replair that, they have shut down the train line for however long, right? Are they prepared to do that? No. Because that's going to affect commerce, right? Shipping industry. But my point is it up to us, the taxpayers, to pay to repair that, to replace that? The answer is no. And there's people that don't understand that. How enslaved we are to continuously keep paying more and more taxes when we're the ones that aren't supposed to. And Donald Trump certainly understands UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, the laws we are operating under, we are being forced under, and enslaved under. He doesn't understand the United States Constitution. He understands the corporation laws. He understands the laws, commercial laws of the corporation of the United States, right? There's people, we'd get into that in another video. But the United States of America in capital letters is very much indeed a corporation. Oh, we need a businessman to run it. That's right, because it was turned into a corporation, not a free republic any longer. Now, before some of you get too butthurt, panties in a bunch, because I mentioned Donald Trump, understand I'm doing that because he's the president, right? But more than that, he certainly, and none of the other presidents are any different, okay? But he certainly understands what I'm sharing with you right now. He is a corporate figure, right? This whole deal came down a while back, you know, that was after him about releasing his taxes. And in his own words, he told us he paid hardly anything in taxes, and it's not his fault that this is the way they've designed it, right? That he was only taking advantage of the laws that are on the books, of what they made possible. And that's true, okay? Well, and then we sit here and say, well, how can we blame him for that? Well, because we're being taken advantage of. Okay, he may have come along and, you know, I'm not saying everything he's doing is wrong, anything like that, but he's come along and pretty much told us how it is. Okay, the very rich understand this. The corporations get their way. They come along, they pay off politicians. And how do they do that? Well, they give them a bunch of money to their 501s that they create, right? Their charities that they create in their own name or whose ever name. And that really isn't doing nothing to be a charity. But they pay off the politicians by donating to these supposed charities. And in return, they, you know, they get that for a tax write-off while pocketing all the money they make. And we have then, because of those payoffs, eventually they run into problems. And it's not really that they're running into problems so badly, but but you know, when it comes down to when these businesses, corporations, have to end up taking out of their own pocket to upgrade their business or whatever, to invest into their business as should be. It's your business. It's your job to do all the upgrades, right? You're the one responsible for it. The corporation, not the people. Corporations have no rights, but under UCC, corporations are the ones with the rights, and the people lose their rights. The people get held accountable for crimes. Corporations get away with everything, and they act like, well, you know, they come up with all these excuses because the owners of these corporations, the people that run it, wealth management, right? They, if you want to get wealthy, you study this stuff. They create an estate, right? So now in that estate is that the corporation owns all that stuff and their house, everything, right? They create an estate, and an executor of that estate hands them, you know, supposedly, right, hands them out their money and everything else. They're never held personally accountable. And if it comes down to somehow they have to pay out of their pocket, then they shut their doors. And it's not because they've gone broke and can't afford it anymore. It's because they would rather shut their doors, reopen under something else or whatever, and pocket all that money instead of paying up. This is how it goes, right? You ain't gonna get up there. Pay attention. There's a squirrel climbing up the wall. Whiskey's trying to chase him up there. Anyways, this is how the corporations operate. The point being is that we don't realize when all this stuff first started, the repairs of the roadways, the installment of the roadways was the responsibility of the corporations that use them for commercial purposes, right? We are people. We are free people. Well, it's not no more because we've submitted to their laws under implied contract, right? And there's a lot of stuff I'll be talking that we'll have to touch more on the separate subjects on different videos. The main point is, you know, to put it in us little people terms to figure it out, is they are the ones that are supposed to be paying for that, right? Your railway owners are supposed to be are supposed to be paying for the repair of those railways, right? Instead, they pocket all the money, and then they come to the government. They're the biggest welfare cases. They want us to get all upset over some poor people might get $50 a month for food, something like that, right? Meanwhile, the corporations are taking us for billions and trillions. They're getting bailed out for everything, for their wrong decisions. And it don't matter that they derail, as in East Palestine, who's still suffering from that, right? They cost lives. They damage our health and everything else. They're poisoning our water, our food sources. We're so blind to it, right? Like, we can't afford to make healthy eating decisions. That's just the truth. You got to be very wealthy to truly be able to pick out and eat healthy food. Now, but they'll play games with us, and you know, it's foolish for us to believe that Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Maha, is actually eating McDonald's or Steak and Shake or anything else when the camera isn't on him. Guarantee that's not the shit he puts in his body, if he's truly studying all this stuff, right? But you know, him, just like everyone else, gets their payoffs, and they're living rich, while the rest of us are suffering. We're suffering many times in ways we don't understand, from the poisons they're putting in our stuff, the destruction of our land. But it's just many ways they fool us. They play these games acting like they're one of us, and they certainly are not. They're never gonna sit down and party with any of us, right? Break bread with any of us, unless it's for the camera. Otherwise, they're all in bed together, being bought out and paid for by the corporations. Eventually from our own tax dollars, right? The corporations, the major ones, they get filthy rich off bleeding our government from our tax dollars, right? And then when their responsibility comes along, the thing I say a lot of times about driving without a license, that legally, under the Constitution, you have a free right to travel. As a free person, you have the right to travel. Those roadways are there for your right, okay? It's not a privilege for you to use those roadways. It's a privilege for the commercial use, right? It's they're the ones with these bought privileges, okay? We have rights. Those, the way it was designed is that the corporations that are going to use this stuff to ship their products and for whatever other reasons, they pay for the roads, railways, whatever it may be, right? And then we, because we're free people and you put that on our land, we are free to come and go and travel and use all of that at our own free will. But because we use it, they've changed it around and fooled us all and say, well, you know, the roads are deteriorating. We need to use your tax dollars to repair this stuff. Or the railways are in trouble, falling apart. We need a bunch of your tax money. We need to tax you people, the working stiffs, to pay for all that, right? It's illegal, for one. It's not constitutional law. Trump wants to tell us about he's restoring constitutional law. He don't understand a damn thing about the Constitution. No one in Washington understands the Constitution, because they know damn well if they did, if you study enough about the Constitution, most of them would all be in jail. But this is the way it is, and you know, for those that don't want to believe me, look it up for yourself, but you're going to have to do the research, how it all began. It's not our job to pay for the infrastructure. It's the corporations who pocket all this money and then get all these bailouts. It's their job. They're the ones using it to enrich themselves. They're using the roadways to enrich themselves. They're using the railways to enrich themselves. They're using the ports to enrich themselves, right? All of the infrastructure. They use it to enrich themselves. They pocket all the money and then expect us to pay for it. People don't realize that taxation on the level that it's happening is unconstitutional. It's supposed to be the rich that pay those taxes, Not, oh, you get some kind of breaks that you can abuse the system and find ways that at the end of the year you pay no taxes. Right? We're being pillaged. The corporations are in charge, and that's what UCC is, Uniform Commercial Code. These are the laws we are being enslaved under. And all of the rich understand these laws. When they got their lawyers and everything else, the laws they are looking into and fighting over are UCC laws, not United States Constitution laws, right? That's just a fact. And I assure you that's the truth. Meanwhile, they're taxing us when we're the ones paying the taxes, when the people enriching themselves are paying no taxes. And they come up, well, that's the way the laws were written and all this and that. Oh, we want to do something to give you a tax break. The very people who have made themselves rich by abusing the tax system, the tax laws that were, you know, the corporations that bankers at one time paid lawyers to figure this out. They came up with UCC and figured out how to make us foot the bill. Okay, and then feel sorry for them when their business is doing bad or they lose some funds, stuff like that. And their lives will never be negatively impacted. They'll always live under that estate. You know, they'll operate under their estate. They're the biggest welfare recipients there are. I just want to point that out. The infrastructure isn't our job. It's the job of the people getting rich from using it. Us, the people, that's for us to freely use as we decide. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep all of his commandments, for that is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. See ya.